Oh, hey there. What's going on? I'm just sitting down, having a bit of breakfast. Having my green tea, very healthy for you. And I'd like to talk to you guys today. And today we're going to be talking about knives. So, I'm sure anybody who watches my channel loves knives, or in the very least really likes them. And who would, you know, except for pussies. They're cool. They come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and metals and handle types, and the list goes on. And I just want to talk to you about my favorite types of knives today, why I collect them, and just a couple other things. So, my favorite type of knife, I don't know why I'm saying knife, sorry, my favorite type of knife would have to be that of combat knives. And I'm talking about the historical combat knives that have been used in previous wars, present wars, stuff that you could, go to a military surplus store and you'd find them. Or if you were in the armed forces, you could go to the supply on your base and you could find these knives there. Or if you went back in time, that's not possible, but if it was and you went back in time to World War II or something, you could find them. Those are my favorite types of knives. And I'm going to share some of those with you today as I have my breakfast. Piping hot. Ugh. Gotta let that cool down. So we're going to start off with a very famous one today. The USMC Ka-Bar knife. This knife first hit the scene in World War II. The U.S. Army was opting for a new combat knife for their troops, but it was later used by the U.S. Marines, underwater demolition teams, the U.S. Navy. Pretty much all branches of the U.S. military have used this knife at some point. So as you see here, I still have the box. I have everything in there packaged as how it came. I have taken it out before, but I just like to keep it packaged like that. So obviously you have a real leather sheath. Still smells like real leather. I've had this knife here since the Christmas that just passed. Beautiful sheath. Gotta love that color. Ka-Bar, USMC, and then the USMC logo stamped on there. And I absolutely love this knife. I think it's actually most commonly associated with the United States Marine Corps, but it's been used, from what I've read, by every branch of the U.S. military at some point. It also has that really nice big belt loop on there. So this was designed to fit over a plethora of belts, whatever the soldier might be carrying, probably, their basic duty belt. Not sure the name of it, but they all have like one type of belt they do wear to hold all their gear. They were clearly thinking, let's make a big belt loop so it could fit over, a wide range of duty belts out there. Now the knife itself, of course, most people will recognize it. It's your famous 7-inch blade, about 11 to 12 inches long, razor sharp out of the box, leather stacked handle, pommel on the end that could be used for hammering in tent stakes or hammering in a guy's head. If you're in a war and you're fighting and whatnot, I guess you could, strike him in the temple or something. USMC embossed on the blade. Ka-Bar, Olean, New York on the other side. Blood fuller. Right here, this groove, that's known as the blood groove or a fuller. Clip point, falsely sharpened on the back. All in all, this is a really nice knife. It's a really well balanced knife in terms of statistics, And this isn't something I use though, because I don't want to mess it up. I want to preserve it, keep it clean. So, that's probably the most famous combat knife out there. Right. So, that ain't it. There are more combat knives out there that you can choose from, obviously, but that's got to be the most famous one. If you're a knife guy, if you're a knife guy and you know about knives, combat knives in particular, you're going to easily recognize the Ka-Bar as one of the most famous. That gets me onto my second knife. This one's rather new, both in terms of me owning it and when it came out, and that is the Ontario Knife Company M9 bayonet. Now when I say new, I'm not talking it came out within the last 5 years. This, I believe, came out in the 1980s or 90s. The late 80s or early 90s is when the US Army adopted this knife and started using it. But once again, this is a legit knife. It's not a cheap knockoff. It is legit. So, the blade is around the same length as the Ka-Bar, maybe a little shorter. Your handle is this black synthetic material. Being a bayonet, it obviously has a bayonet lug. Right there, the clamp, that clamps onto a part of your rifle, holds it on there. And another cool thing about this knife is that it actually has a saw on it. Right back there. That's a saw. Some people have said that it's a saw for aircraft aluminum. It's designed to cut through the soft aluminum skin of an aircraft. If a plane goes down, you can rescue people or get yourself out. But I'm pretty sure the Air Force has their own knife. That's the Ontario Air Force egress knife. But don't quote me on it. But then the coolest thing about this knife has to be at the bottom here. See that little nub sticking off? Well, see that hole in the blade? You link the two together, like so, and it works as wire cutters. Now this can allow a soldier, and soldier is the proper context here because this is a knife used by the US Army. This will allow a soldier to get through barbed wire, or cut wire, like if he's got to kill the power or something. I mean, I'm sure they have specialists in the US Army who do that type of stuff, but you know, if there's no other tool, they can use that. So, you know, those are two so far. Another really type of cool knife is actually kind of obscure and not many people know about it. I think the people that are going to know about this next one the most will be those who served in the Vietnam War. This is none other than the famous SOG knife. Now, SOG, as a lot of guys out there will know, is a knife company. SOG Specialty Knives and Tools. But the name SOG actually derives from a different thing, if you will, and that is the MAC-V SOG from the Vietnam War, which means Studies and Observations Group. And essentially these guys were, I don't want to say spies, but they were like a recon team, I think. They would go behind the enemy lines, study enemy positions, do stuff like that, report back, and then later the Marines or the Army would go in and deal with it. And that's essentially what that knife looks like. Now this, once again, is a legit issue. SOG does make reproductions of these. They're still in reproduction. This is not one from the actual Vietnam War, but it is a real replica, so you could use it. It's not fake or anything. It's tough enough to be used. I have not used it. I don't want to mess it up. But this is a replica of a SOG knife from the Vietnam War. Now, there were multiple designs from what I understand, but this one here is probably the most common. Like the Ka-Bar, you got this leather stacked handle, metal pommel on the end. Absolutely love this knife. Absolutely love it. I love the back of it. The clip point brings that down to a really sharp point, and you got all these kind of finger choils on the back almost, so you can just like rest your finger, right? Even got a nice finger choil down here. So you could hold it like this and choke up on the blade, right? It does also come with a leather sheath, but that's packed down there, so I'll show you anyway. So here's the leather sheath. Black leather. Doesn't smell as like leathery as the K-Bar sheath, so it might be from a different type of animal. It might be, a cheaper leather. I don't know. But the nice thing about it is they do come with sharpening stones in them. And this is a reproduction of the actual Vietnam War sheath. So this is what a SOG team guy would have been having on his belt, or a variation thereof. But like I said, the most famous SOG knives that you're going to find look like these. But there are different designs and blade styles. So, I'm going to end the video here because it's quite a long video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like, subscribe, leave a nice comment, and if you have any famous knives that are combat knives that have been used in real life wars, past or present, please share them in the comments. Check you later.